has come to our family. You remember our venerable house? Opulent and imperial, gazing proudly from its stoic perch above the moor. I lived all my years in that ancient, rumor-shadowed manor, fattened by decadence and luxury. And yet I began to tire of conventional extravagance. Singular, unsettling tales suggested the mansion itself was a gateway to some fabulous and unnameable power. With relic and ritual, I bent every effort towards the excavation and recovery of those long-buried secrets, exhausting what remained of our family fortune on swarthy workmen and sturdy shovels. At last, in the salt-soaked crags beneath the lowest foundations, we unearthed that damnable portal of antediluvian evil. Our every step unsettled the ancient earth. But we were in a realm of death and madness. In the end, I alone fled laughing and wailing through those blackened arcades of antiquity, until consciousness failed me. You remember our venerable house, opulent and imperial. It is a festering abomination. I beg you, return home, claim your birthright, and deliver our family from the ravenous, clutching shadows of the darkest dungeon.
Vanquish the ancient evil and bring honor to the family name. Reminding yourself of what your ancestor had written, you ride in a stagecoach to your hamlet.
You will arrive along the old road. It winds with a troubling, serpent-like suggestion through the corrupted countryside, leading only, I fear, to ever more tenebrous places. There is a sickness in the ancient pitted cobbles of the old road, and on its writhing path you will face viciousness, violence, and perhaps other damnably transcendent terrors. So steel yourself, and remember there can be no bravery without madness. The old road will take you to hell, but in that gaping abyss, we will find our redemption.
You recover from the stagecoach's fall. With the 2 mercenaries you've hired, Reynold the Crusader and Dismas the Highwayman, you carefully walk down the old road to your estate.
An ambush. Send these vermin a message. The rightful owner has returned, and their kind is no longer welcome.
A group of brigands get in your way. But your mercenaries are well experienced. As they attack back, the brigands fall helplessly. And so,
as the fiend falls, a faint hope blossoms.
You make it to your land with relative ease.
In time, you will know the tragic extent of my failings.
In its prime, the hamlet was a glorious place, rivaled by no other. But now, only the blackened ashes and debris claim the land. Also, the areas around the estate were festered with abominations and unspeakable horror. The graveyard of the estate, where the wicked undead
Ringing ears
and blasphemous cultists have claimed the ruins. Once home to many habitants of the hamlet, but now inhabited by beasts and man-pigs.
Mortality clarified in a single strike.
the warrens. The once open roads to the hamlet, claimed by brigands, the hag, and ectoplasms.
I'm becoming stressed!
Now the deadliest road, the Weld. Home to horrible sea creatures and ancient fishmen killing any trespassers. The Cove. All in all, pain and suffering governed your estate. The worst of all, your ancestors' long excavations revealed the darkest dungeon, where an unspeakable ancient terror menacingly waited for its prey. But you weren't the type to simply call it quits. To bring honor back to your family, for the buried riches that simply wait to be found. You light up your furnace once more.
Fan the flames, mold the metal. We are raising an army.
Upon hearing the news, many came to aid your cause, seeking fame and riches. You recruit them and embark to each area to obliterate the evil that claimed your land. Against the countless evil that your ancestor caused, you commanded your heroes to fight back. With heroic spirits overcoming tests.
Many fall in the face of chaos, but not this one. Not today.
Bodies of steel and solid resolve.
A singular strike!
Your bloody crusade went on. Of course, everything comes with a price. Like flipping coins, the tide turned ever so easily.
More dust, more ashes, more disappointment.
And the expeditions tested both mind and body. The weak and lame were either called in battle.
Death waits for the slightest lapse in concentration.
Or had their minds shattered to pieces.
Fear and frailty finally claim their due.
But this did not matter, because the promise of fame and riches were enough to keep them coming.
The thrill of the hunt, the promise of payment.
With treasures and gold you find from your quests.
Glittering gold, trinkets and baubles, paid for in blood.
You rebuilt your town, enhanced your tools of war, and gave solace to the weary souls. In this town darker than black, you provide a little hint of radiance. But facing the most wicked evil in the depths of the darkest dungeon was yet out of reach for the inexperienced. So you decide to conquer the adjacent areas and bring peace to your land first. However, the ancestors' journals you find and regretful hallucinations you hear unfolded terrible truths beyond your imagination. First, you head to the ruins filled with blasphemies. And what long awaited your arrival
Towering, fierce, terrible, nightmare-made material.
was the necromancer. In the past, the ancestor pursued the knowledge of life. He invited experts of necromancy over the seas to learn more. Then after the exchange, he killed them all, then revived them as living corpses. And so, these unwillingly revived scholars had been reviving the dead on and on down the years. Endlessly summoning bone soldiers, wounding your heroes with skeleton claws, the necromancer displayed the horror of death. But upon the strikes of the light-bearing crusader and the Vestal protecting the party with light, the necromancer soon enough returned to its grave.
Even reanimated bones can fall. Even the dead can die again.
After conquering the ruins, you arrive in Warrens, the land of swine folks. In this cesspit filled with corpses that even you begin to lose count of, you breeze through the area with the Houndmaster and his juicy damage.
That's a lot of damage!
Then you meet the king of the pit.
It is a travesty. A blundering mountain of hatred and rage.
The notorious Swine King. In the past, your ancestor was obsessed with rituals in an attempt to summon a being outside this world. With trial and error, pig flesh, most like that of man, was proven to be most effective in his endeavors. So the rituals using pig meat went on and on without limits. And some great thing was summoned, but it was brutish and stupid. And mostly it required lots of meat. However, that was not much of a trouble. After all, he had a village full of meat. So the battle begins. Heroes experienced with hunting down big targets gave what they got.
A powerful blow.
But as the king's squire, Wilbur, barked who to hit, the king followed, delivering a poke.
As
Wait,
life
what?
ebbs, as if emptiness
What?
reveal themselves.
With the Warrens dealt with, you arrive at the Cove of Pelagic Horrors. This place, filled with the smell of salt and decaying fish, belonged to
Even in death, the captain shouts his orders, and the crew obeys.
the drowned crew. Your ancestor had employed this crew to retrieve his curious deliveries of occult relics and texts. Soon, they increased their tariffs in price for keeping their mouths shut. The family wealth had long been exhausted, so he took an alternative choice of payment by hexing their anchors to drown the entire crew in the seas, thus chaining them to the black waters forevermore. Like the cruel fate they suffered, the crew summoned the anchormen to drown the heroes.
Call an ambulance! Call an ambulance! But not for me!
A decisive pummeling.
And another one.
They are cursed to float forever, deep in the swirling blackness, far beyond the light's reach.
With the crew gone, the true ruler of the Cove revealed their identity.
The aquatic devils have remade the poor girl in their image. She is their queen and their slave.
A mythical figure who was said to lure sailors to their deaths. The Siren. When your ancestor realized that his coins were running short, he struck a bargain with the ancient fishmen. They demanded an obscure idol and a sacrificial offering for their dark rituals. At that moment, he found someone. A village waif who admired the ancestor taking a stroll. He soon came up with an idea and lured the waif, chained her to the idol and pushed her off the cliff. And the following day, he found numberless jewels scattered along the shore. So the Siren became the fisherman's queen and slave. She charmed your heroes with a mesmerizing appearance, making them fight each other.
And now the true test. Hold fast or expire.
And her contorted voices struck a dizzying blow to their minds, challenging both mind and body. Minds broken. Sense of trust gone. When hope seemed to be no more.
You serious?
With a miracle, you cleanse the cuff, and then you head to the last area, the weld. The brigands claiming the area.
A marvel of technology. An engine of destruction.
Busted out a giant cannon to welcome their guests. As rumors of your ancestors' dark excavations spread in the town, the terrified people held demonstrations for days and days. So he hired bandits, brigands, and killers. Those who are more lenient in the use of violence.
Mortality clarified in a single strike.
Thus, with their giant machine of war, wolf-like savagery, and flexible morality, they make the numbers a little bit more manageable, so to say. An outrageous number of brigands blocked your way. And the cold steel cannon didn't even suffer a dent. And when that cannon displayed its capability, it seemed like hell was just around the corner. But an eye for an eye, guile for guile. The art of trickery isn't just for brigands. The highwayman and the grave robber proved themselves superior with ease.
A corpse of twisted metal and splintered wood, at home amongst the headstones.
And so, you successfully cleansed all 4 areas. Your town has regained some of its former glory, and your hero's morale was going through the roof. The only thing left was your ancestors' icon of sin, the darkest dungeon and its conqueror. You see only a glimmer of bloody light coming through the dark gate. You find a cold, steel metropolis reveal itself before you. And cultists that worship the unknown were grotesquely distorted, just like their souls.
Such a terrible assault cannot be left unanswered.
Soon, you encounter the gatekeeper, the shuffling horror. Its undulations disoriented your hero's formation, exploiting their weakness. But the armor-piercing strikes of your trusty shield breaker,
A singular strike.
concludes your first quest with a triumph.
A victory. Perhaps a turning point.
Then you embark on your second quest.
Madness made flesh. It crawls steadily upward from the pit, supported by the lattice of cyclopean pillars.
As the cancerous growth of flesh infested the area, here you find more and more unearthly eldritch creatures. Like Revelation,
How quickly the tide turns.
Templar Impaler heralded the nigh end. But your man-at-arms' stalwart protection and Antiquarian's mystic vapors bolstered your heroes to strike back.
press this advantage. Give them no quarter.
And so you prevail over the quest and find a way to the inside of this monstrous creature. But with each expedition, you realize something within you was wrong. The voices of your ancestor became worse. Your heroes, and even the merchants and villagers, didn't seem like they should anymore. You are aware that your mind is breaking, yet you also know that you can't quit here. And so you pressed on with your third quest.
The Gateless Gate. A maddening aperture to realms beyond human understanding.
As sights of pulsating organs lure you in, you question why and how the estate's basement is connected to such a beast and how big the creature could possibly be. Yet upon the battle against this mammoth cyst, the unneeded thoughts quickly begin to cease. But your party of hunters who never lose their prey, the Arbalest,
Eradicated.
and the bounty hunter, you take down the target
The bigger the beast, the greater the glory.
and find an exit that leads to somewhere. With your first two trusty mercenaries, Reynold and Dismas, you set foot on your final journey. The path led you to a cosmic space beyond infinity, and the one that has been waiting for you was your ancestor.
In all my terrible researches, what I sought was a glimpse behind the veil, a crumb of cosmic truth. I found it here, and in that moment of brain-blasting realization, I ceased to be a man and became a herald, an avatar of the crawling chaos. Life feeds on life. In your petty pursuit of family redemption, you consume those who rally to your cause, and in so doing, you strengthen the thing, accelerating the end. This is as it should be. It is why you are here. Free yourself, rouse the thing, and embrace the ineffable cosmic hideousness that lives within us all.
The terrible truth unveiled. Your ancestor was long under the influence of the ancient evil. The only reason he called you forth was to spill more blood to the ground, to feed the thing and accelerate its awakening. You barely recovered your shaken mind and set foot to the open portal leading to the heart.
You still foolishly consider yourself an entity separate from the whole. I know better, and I will show you.
The final encounter. Creating reflections of himself and hexing your heroes with cultist magic. Cosmic terror that literally separated bone and flesh. But this egotistic, fallen being could not stop these noble beings with solid resolve. Upon defeat, your ancestor makes himself a vessel to the thing's heart.
Behold the heart of the world, progenitor of life, father and mother, Alpha and Omega, our creator and our destroyer.
The heart of darkness, the unspeakable terror, and the raw strength of its heartbeat annihilated the heroes' minds. Yet they chose to keep fighting on. But even they could not possibly resist the Maker's call. Some boldly accepted their final breath, and some trembled upon the fear of the unknown. But to defeat this cosmic evil here and now, you had to take necessary sacrifices. And so, after a long battle, you strike a decisive blow to the terrible being.
Victory. A hollow and ridiculous notion. We are born of this thing, made from it, and we will be returned to it in time. The great family of man. A profusion of errant flesh, multiplying, swarming, living, dying, until the stars align in their inexorable formation, and what sleeps is roused once more. To hatch from this fragile shell of earth and rock, and bring our inescapable end. So seek solace in a manner befitting your lineage, and take up your nugatory vigil, haunted forever by that sickening prose echoing through the infinite blackness of space and time. Ruin has come to our family.